Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyanjanashalakya चक्षुरुन्मिलितमेन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते जयप्रताकस्वामिनिति नाम्ने नमः आचार्यपदाय निताय कृपाप्रदायिने गौरकथा दामदाय नगरग्रामधारिणे नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नाम्ने नमस्ते सारस्वती गौरवाणी प्रचारणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 4 Chapter 11 Text 15 in the matter of Swayambhuva Manu advises Dhruva Maharaj Bhutai Panchabir Arabdhair Yoshit Purusha Evahi Tayor Vyavayat Sambhutir Yoshit Purushayoriha. The creation of the material world begins with the 5 elements. And thus everything, including the body of a man or a woman, is created by these elements. By the sexual life of man and woman, the number of men and women in this material world is further increased. So Manu is advising Dhruva Maharaj. So his purport. When Swayambhuva Manu saw that Dhruva Maharaja understood the philosophy of Vaishnavism and yet was still dissatisfied because of his brother's death, he gave him an explanation of how this material body is created by the 5 elements of material nature. In the Bhagavad Gita, it's also confirmed, Prakrite Kriyamanani. Everything is created, maintained, and annihilated by the material modes of nature. In the background, of course, there is the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, Mayadhyakshena Prakriti. In the 9th chapter, Krishna says, under my superintendence, material nature is acting. Swayambhuva Manu wanted to impress on Dhruva Maharaj that the death of the material body of his brother was not actually the Yaksha's fault. It was an act of material nature. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has immense varieties of potencies, and they act in different gross and subtle ways. So everything is already decided. It is not that by accident something happens. Even an accident, somebody dies, that is also prearranged. Because of the karma, everything is already decided by Krishna. Of course, Krishna sometimes prolongs somebody's life. He has that. He is time, right? Time I am. So he only decides how long a person lives. And not only that, he can also extend somebody's life or shorten. It is by such powerful potencies that the universe is created. Although grossly it appears to be no more than 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Similarly, the bodies of all species of living entities, whether human beings or demigods, animals or birds, are also created by the same 5 elements, and by sexual union, they expand into more and more living entities. That is the way of creation, maintenance, and annihilation. That is the way one should not be disturbed by the waves of material nature in this process. Dhruva Maharaja was indirectly advised not to be afflicted by the death of his brother because our relationship with the body is completely material. The real self, spirit, soul, is never annihilated or killed by anyone. So the yogis, they realize this, and so they go away from society and then sit there and think only about meditation and about connecting with the Lord, because they go to the root cause. I mean, they know that all this is just modes of material nature. But then that is an extreme step, and you have to be really convinced about that. But then for the vast majority, it becomes too difficult to be so focused. So we can use that as a means of, also developing a relationship with Krishna by doing everything, by being acting everything, seeing everyone, also doing devotional service to the Lord. If that is the central thing, then while we are living also, we can have these exchanges, but we know it is just a drama. Once the drama is over, that's it. It's not going to last forever. So we have that consciousness. And so whenever, we don't keep meditating on that, but it becomes less difficult to accept the facts of life, that all these things. So that is why we need to be attached to Krishna. Otherwise, it's very painful. Or some people never recover from all these kind of shocks, and they're very disturbed. Then they lose, they don't come to terms with life. So that is why one is forced to, death is something which will make anybody become philosophical, will want to inquire about the truth. What is life all about? And then, here also, it is Dhruv Maharaj had already realized God. He is a self-realized soul. And he also, so we can see how much, once you're part of this system in the material world, we do get affected. That is where the yogis, they leave everything and go there. We don't want to get involved in all these things, because very difficult to extricate yourself from being influenced by all this unless you're taken shelter of Krishna. And Dhruv Maharaj is already surrendered to Krishna. But so Manu was trying to say that, it was easy to, of course, preach to Dhruv. Anybody needs this preaching, because when you get attached to people, you can't just all the time think your Atma, your body. We have to interact, and then even the spiritual personalities are very attractive not for sense gratification, but because even if they are devotees and you are seeing them as parts of Krishna, you love them and you don't want them to go away. So it's natural instinct, and it is going to be very painful. And so that is why, if you're Krishna conscious, at least somebody preaches like this, then we can quickly overcome. Even Guru Maharaj, when this Bhakti Charu Maharaj, that was the last person of his god brothers who left the world. No, after that, Gopal Krishna Maharaj also. But he was very close to Bhakti Charu Maharaj, because Bhakti Charu Maharaj was always in Bengal, based in Bengal. And from the very beginning, Guru Maharaj has had a very close relationship with him. So and then he knew, he kept telling him, don't go to US, don't go during pandemic. But he went anyway. And so he knew, he was feeling very, very disturbed. For 3 days, he locked himself up in that room, and he didn't eat, or I don't know what he did. He didn't come out only. He was so upset. And when Prabhupada left this world, 3 days, he just closed the room. That's it. I don't know whether he even ate, I don't know what he did. But so these are human emotions. And anyone, that was, of course, spiritual relationship, but here it's more material. And so that's why Manu is telling him that anyway, these bodies are all just modes of material nature. It's an act of material nature. And no, more important, he was telling him it's not about the temporariness. Don't accuse the yakshas so much. It was an act of material nature. It was not the yaksha's fault. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has immense varieties of potencies, and they act in different gross and subtle ways. So ultimately, it's all decided by Krishna only, how long a person is going to live. And that's why Prabhupada said, even wars are a reaction to people's sinful activities of killing others, animals, and eating, and causing pain to living entities. Then they get punished. Krishna arranges all of them come together in one place in the battlefield, and then they are all killed wholesale. So the karma, and we may think, oh, what karma? Everybody was there. But all those who had that karma, they're all taken there and they are killed. So hmm. So that is why we don't need to get angry with people also, because everything is controlled by Krishna. Sometimes devotees even find it difficult to forgive. But if we understand that everything is caused by Krishna ultimately, and everything is our karma, people are just instruments. They do what they do sometimes, I mean, especially when they are hurtful, or when they cause pain, or they backstab you, they do so many things. And then we just see the immediate cause and we get angry with them. But the ultimate cause is Krishna. So these are just, I mean, they are just the instrument in Krishna's hands. So because of that, then we can easily forgive people. Okay, you are just an instrument. Ultimately, it's all coming from Krishna. Vasudevam Sarvamiti. Only then we can be a Mahatma. If we forget that part, that he is the cause of all causes, we can't be Mahatma. We'll get like sucked into this material things. Just like Dhruv Maharaja also became, he temporarily, I mean, it was probably arrangement of Krishna as a lesson for us, because otherwise he's a self-realized soul, he's God realized. So why he was acting like that was simply for our education. एवं प्रवर्तते सर्ग स्थिति संयम एव च गुणव्यतिकरात् राजन् मायया परमात्मना. Manu continued, my dear King Dhruva, it's simply by the illusory material energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and by the interaction of the three modes of material nature that creation, maintenance, and annihilation take place. First, creation takes place with the ingredients of the five elements of material nature. Then, by the interaction of the modes of material nature, maintenance also takes place. When a child is born, the parents immediately see to its maintenance. This tendency for maintenance of offspring is present not only in human society, but in animal society as well. Even tigers take care of their cubs, although their propensity is to eat other animals. By the interaction of the material modes of nature, creation, maintenance, and also annihilation takes place inevitably. But at the same time, we should know that all is conducted under the superintendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everything is going on under that process. Creation is the action of the Rajoguna, the mode of passion. Maintenance is the action of Sattva-guna, the mode of goodness. And annihilation is the action of Tamoguna, the mode of ignorance. We can see that those who are situated in the mode of goodness live longer than those who are situated in the Tamoguna or Rajoguna. In other words, if one is elevated to the mode of goodness, he is elevated to a higher planetary system where the duration of life is very great. Urdhvam gachanti sattvasta. Great rishis, sages, and sannyasis who maintain themselves in sattva guna, or the mode of material goodness, are elevated to a higher planetary system. Those who are transcendental even to the material modes of nature are situated in the mode of pure goodness. They attain eternal life in the spiritual world. So only when we know all these facts, and then we can be situated in Krishna consciousness, not be disturbed. We need to know this. We need to remind ourselves every moment that everything is conducted by Krishna only under his direction. Without his sanction, not a blade of grass can move. Knowing that, then we can be relieved. Then we can always think of Krishna. We don't need to meditate on the problems. What is the use of meditating on problems? It doesn't help in any way. Okay, if you're thinking of solutions, you can use your brain to say, okay, what to do and all that. But mostly we are lamenting. Oh, why did this happen? Why those people did this? We are lamenting and lamenting. What's the point of that? Instead, by taking shelter of, we should know that nothing is conducted outside of Krishna's energy. He is only making everyone do everything. Everything. So, knowing that, we can completely take shelter of Krishna and meditate upon him and tell him, okay, you take care, Krishna. Because those karmas also, due to which he was forced to do that for us, that also he knows when we surrender to him, he says, Mamekam Sharanam Vraja Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo. He has promised that. So if we just take shelter of him and just think about serving him, then he takes charge. He removes all the karmas because Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo. Moksha Yusyami Ma Sucha. Don't be afraid. He is only controlling everything. So that is why a devotee is takes full shelter of Krishna. And for that, we have to raise our consciousness to the Sattva Guna. Because in the Sattva Guna only we understand spiritual matters more. If you continue being in Rajoguna, then we are attached to material things. We'll think, oh no, Krishna may be the ultimate person, but then, we are more concerned about what we see in front of our eyes and we get disturbed. Uh, so creation is in the act of Rajoguna. So we can see that some people, they like to start so many new things. They'll start and then they leave it after some time. Then the enthusiasm goes. They don't want to maintain. Right? That is Rajoguna. Sattva Guna is maintenance. You really, you are there full this thing. It's not that sometimes you'll do and rest of the time you don't do. And destructive, there is one community which is always destroying, Tamoguna. They only know about destruction, right? So that we can see clear indication of Tamoguna. They only know how to kill, how to punish, how to fight all the time. Those who are transcendental even to the material modes of nature are situated in the mode of pure goodness. They attain eternal life in the spiritual world. So that is Vaishnavism, how to transcend these modes and how to transcend them. Rishis and all sit and meditate, but devotees, by constantly taking shelter of Krishna in all circumstances, whatever happens, if we take shelter of Krishna, then only we can transcend the modes. Otherwise, we will be affected by one of the three modes. Either we get very angry and we want to destroy or punish or shout and something we want to do. In Rajoguna also we become affected and we want to take some this thing. While Tamoguna, at least in Rajoguna, there is some use, some brain activity going on, and we take proper based on how we need to act. There's some intelligence being used. In Tamoguna, there is no intelligence. Simply react, gut feeling. You get angry, you don't even think what is right, what is wrong. Simply go and attack. So, and then mode of goodness, of course, is always, um, it's seeing the spiritual aspect of it and trying to see always um, the positive aspects, how to come out of it how to solve problems in a more um, in a more positive way, taking shelter of Krishna, or those who are not devotees also, they will be more spiritually inclined, and so um, they'll try to do it in subtle ways. A mode of passion is more using your body and mind to sort out situations, but at least you use intelligence. Text 17. Nimitta matram tatra seen nirguna purusha rishabha vyakta vyaktam idam vishwam yatra brahmati lohavat. My dear Dhruva, the Supreme Personality of God is uncontaminated by material modes of nature. He is the remote cause of the creation of this material cosmic manifestation. When He gives the impetus, many of the causes and effects are produced, and thus the whole universe moves, just as iron moves by the integrated force of a. How the external energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead works within this material world is explained in this verse. Everything is happening by the energy of the Supreme Lord. The atheistic philosophers who do not agree to accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the original cause of creation think that the material world moves by the action and reaction of different material elements. A simple example of the interaction of elements occurs when we mix soda and acid, and the movement of effervescence is produced. But one cannot produce life by such interaction of chemicals. There are 84 lakh different species of life with different wishes and different actions. How the material force is working cannot be explained just on the basis of chemical reaction. A suitable example in this connection is that the potter and the potter's wheel. The potter's wheel rotates and several varieties of earthen pots come out. There are many causes for the earthen pots, but the original cause is the potter who sets a force on the wheel. That force comes by his superintendence. The same idea is explained in Bhagavad Gita. Behind all material action and reaction, there is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna says that everything depends on his energy, and yet he is not everywhere. The pot is produced under such conditions of under certain conditions of action and reaction of material energy. But the potter is not the pot. In a similar way, the material creation is set up by the Lord, but he remains aloof. As stated in the Vedas, he simply glanced over it, and the agitation of matter immediately began. In Bhagavad Gita, it is also said that the Lord impregnates the material energy with the part and parcel jivas, and thus the different forms and different activities immediately ensue. Because of the different desires and karmic activities of the jiva soul, different types of bodies and different species are produced. In Darwin's theory, there is no acceptance of the living entity as spirit soul, and therefore his explanation of evolution is incomplete. Varieties of phenomena occur within this universe on account of the actions and reactions of the three material modes. But the original creator or the cause is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is mentioned here as Nimitta Matram, the remote cause. He simply pushes the wheel with his energy. According to Mayavadi philosophers, the Supreme Brahman has transformed himself into many varieties of forms, but that is not the fact. He is always transcendental to the actions and reactions of the material gunas, although he is the cause of all causes. Lord Brahma says, therefore, in the Brahma Samhita 5.1, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. There are many causes and effects, but the original cause is Sri Krishna. Um, so is telling, my dear Dhruva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is uncontaminated by material modes of nature. So the person behind The person who's setting off all these things, he is not under the modes. So we don't have to think, oh, what if the Lord doesn't listen to me? Maybe he is partial to those people, not to me. All these things, there is no question, because the Lord is beyond all the three modes, is uncontaminated, is pure, is completely pure. He is the remote cause of the creation of this material cosmic manifestation. Right? The Lord is so pure goodness. We can't even imagine how He is so good that we can blindly put our trust in Him. That's when the Srimad Bhagavatam it says, one who surrendered to Krishna can walk in this world blindfolded and nothing will happen to him. That is how much we can trust the Lord. When He gives the impetus, many other causes and effects are produced. And thus the whole universe moves, just as iron moves by the integrated force of a magnet. Magnet makes all the iron move about. So similarly, the remote causes the magnet and making iron filings and iron things move. In the same way, Krishna is the original cause. And he is called Satya Sankalpa. Everything is Satya about him. Everything is absolute truth. So he decides something, we can be sure it is perfect. The only thing is, when we are not connected with him, then Maya Devi, she's also above the three modes, but she is on a different trip altogether. She is, according to our reactions and actions, and we don't know which reaction is coming, what I did in this life, or some 100 lives I could have done anything. That is why life is very, very, frightening, because you don't know when what is going to happen. It may all be justified, but how do I know? I may be a very good person now, but maybe I did some nonsense, some last life or some other life, and that reaction can come anytime. So we cannot put our trust on Maya Devi, because her role is to punish us. Though she also, Maya Devi also, if you approach her and worship those who worship Durga, Kali, and all that, she also helps by putting this bad karma at a later time. And she cannot create anything or forgive us, but she can alter the things, sequence. Okay, now you don't want to suffer. So I'll take some good karma from which you're supposed to get later, and I'll put it now. And this bad karma, I postpone it to another date. That much we can do. But that is all. But Krishna, he can completely forgive our this thing completely. Okay, no suffering, or he can reduce it to such an extent that only that much he gives, so that for our own purification. So, and the main thing is that you take shelter of Krishna, you feel a great relief that he is taking care. Of course, the devatas also offer some relief, otherwise people won't be going to them. But it doesn't prevent you, it doesn't, they're not purifying. To some extent they purify, of course. They make us elevate, and because you have to be in the mode of goodness even to trust the devatas. The faithless are in the lowest modes, mode of passion and ignorance. To have faith in someone or something higher, your mode of goodness has to be developed. So those who are Devata worshippers are also mode of goodness, and they are getting purified. But the purification, complete purification, happens only when we come to self-realization, and that can completely happen only with Vishnu, with Krishna. Shiva also liberates up to Shiva and Parvati also, because they are such, they are working only for Krishna, and by worshipping them also, they, and Shiva also gives Krishna bhakti. So, but they are like Guru, they are not the supreme. And so that is why Krishna says that everything depends on his energy. So those who are most intelligent, somehow, mode of goodness, They can only accept Krishna. Oh, he is only controlling everything. Why I should break my head? Okay, just go to the cause of all causes and surrender to him. That surrender is the biggest difficulty, because the false ego is acting upon us and thinking, I'm only doing everything. How is it? We cannot see the connection with Krishna. Why will Krishna do this? Or why will he be involved in something so trivial which is affecting me? Krishna is so elevated. Will he be thinking about what is distressing me? All kinds of doubts come, because the doubt is the material energy. She's been assigned to put all doubts in our mind, Maya Devi. So we cannot see the connection with Krishna. And that's why we need here Dhruva Maharaja. He got disturbed, and he required a devotee to come and preach to him and take out the Maya. And here it says, varieties of phenomena occur within this universe on account of the actions and reactions of the three modes, material modes. But the original creator or the cause is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is mentioned here as Nimitta Matram. He is the cause, remote cause. He simply pushes the wheel with his energy. According to Mayavadi philosophers, the Supreme Brahman has transformed himself into many varieties of forms. So they don't know how a person can create so many things. But he's got these energies which are doing, they don't know. That's why they don't accept the form of the Lord. And they say that the minute you have a form, it is very limited. And they think that the impersonal Brahman has transformed itself into this material world. And that's why they call it as an illusion. And the only way that you can go back to Brahman is to deny this illusion completely. Neti, 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 not this, not everything is illusion. Simply, I'll sit in one place and keep on reading Vedanta philosophy. This is illusion, this is illusion, I'm that, I'm that. And then, but it's also faulty, by the way. It is not that the Brahman transformed itself. Brahman is internal energy, this material world is external energy. Both, and it is Krishna who's controlling both of them. This is correct philosophy. Sakalva idam Bhagavan Kala Shaktya Guna Pravahena Vibhakta Virya Karoti Akartaiva Nihanti Anta Cheshta Vibhumna Kaludhurvibhavya. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, by his inconceivable supreme energy, time, causes the interaction of the three modes of material nature, and thus varieties of energy become manifest. It appears that he is acting, but he is not the actor. He is the killing, but he is not the killer. Thus, it is understood that only by his inconceivable power is everything happening. The word Durvibhavya means inconceivable by a tiny brain, and Vibhakta Virya means divided in varieties of potencies. This is the right explanation of the display of creative energies in the material world. So we can better understand the mercy of God by an example. A government state is always supposed to be merciful, but sometimes, in order to keep law and order, the government employs its police force, and thus punishment is meted out to the rebellious citizens. Similarly, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is always merciful, full of transcendental qualities, but certain individual souls have forgotten their relationship with Krishna and have endeavored to lord it over material nature. As a result of their endeavor, they're involved in varieties of material interaction. It is incorrect to argue, however, that because energy issues from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is the actor. So the same thing in the Bhagavad Gita also, that just because the material energy is making us do some things, doesn't mean that uh, material energy is responsible for our suffering, or that Krishna is responsible for our suffering. He is only telling material energy to punish us. So he is the cause of our suffering. I'm not, I'm helpless here. Either material energy is controlling me or Krishna is controlling, then where am I responsible? I am responsible because I'm the one who decided to be here in this material world. After that, I don't have any control. Material energy is making me do so many crazy things. I'm not responsible for that. Neither, and then even if I have to become liberated, it is all Krishna who has to pull me out. I cannot fully liberate myself on my own. Then how can I be responsible? The only response we are responsible because we desired that. We desired to be in Maya, then Maya catches us and makes us do all nonsense. And if we desire to go back to Krishna, then Krishna takes charge and liberates us. So that then the actual person who's the, at least with our lives, who can we have that um and so we have the power to decide our lives. How is everything being done? So Krishna, Lord, is completely aloof from the action and reaction of this material world. How is everything being done? The word inconceivable has been used. It is not within the power of one small brain to comprehend. Unless one accepts the inconceivable power and energy of the Lord, one cannot make any progress. The forces which act are certainly set up by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but is always aloof from their action and reaction. The varieties of energies produced by the interaction of material nature produce the varieties of species of life and their resultant happiness and unhappiness. So, to understand who is behind all these things, or even, okay, even if you accept it is the Lord who is doing everything, then how do we know what are the secrets, how this world is functioning, or different branches of knowledge are there? How do we learn all that? And how do we know how to apply for problem solving? So, if we accept that Krishna is the cause of all causes, and then we take shelter of him, we meditate upon him. That is how all the rishis and all that siddhas, they they've written so many things, how to live in this world and how to use so many things. Or what about Ayurveda or Dhanurveda? Every, of course, then they are already there in basic things are all there in the Vedas, but subsidiary things, how to apply them and how to understand them even comes only by the mercy of the Lord. So the jiva on his own cannot understand all these things because it's very, very complicated. By only by the mercy of the Lord can we understand, can we live properly. So everything is based on mercy. And that's why the civilization in earlier times, in Satya Yuga and all, superb, wonderful. Why? Because of taking shelter of the Lord, they were aware. Everything, meditation was the method of self-realization. So everybody meditated. It's like as thing, just like everybody can chant, everybody could meditate. That's why Dhruva Maharaja could just go 5-year-old child went and meditated. It's impossible now. We have to chant Hare Krishna for many years before we can start really meditating. Smaranam. Smaranam takes so much time. We do Shravanam, Kirtanam. Then by doing that consistently, then we get Smaranam. We can remember Krishna. So, so only through that we can learn so many truths. Even if we just read it, we cannot understand it or realize it unless we also develop from within to take shelter of Krishna, to worship him, to meditate on him. Then we can understand all these truths very easily by his mercy. Nothing happens without his mercy. How the Lord acts is nicely explained in the Vishnu Purana. Fire is situated in one place, while the heat and light produced by the fire act in many different ways. Energy, fire is there, Heat and light are its energies. So, so heat and light acts in different ways. Another example given is that electric powerhouse is situated in one place, but its energies, many different types of machinery move. The production is never identical with the original source of the energy, but the original source of energy, being the prime factor, is simultaneously one with and different from the product. So Prabhupada always says about electricity is coming from the powerhouse and it powers refrigerators also and heaters also. So those for different purposes. But then electricity is original source of energy. It is the prime factor. It is simultaneously one with and different from the product. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya's philosophy, Achintya Beda Beda Tattva, is the perfect way of understanding. In this material world, the Lord incarnates in three forms as Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, by which he takes charge of the three modes of material nature. That way, also, we know he is completely controlling. By his incarnation of Brahma, he creates. As the incarnation of Vishnu, he maintains. And by his incarnation of Shiva, he also annihilates. But the original source of Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu are Garbhodakshai Vishnu, whose their source is always apart from these actions and reactions of material nature. So, because it's material and the Lord simply glances and that's it, all these things happen. He doesn't have to personally do anything. And we can see that's why in the material world only we see Krishna is most relaxed, lying down on the bed, just watching. He is not active here. In the spiritual world, he's super active because that is all spiritual activities. What is of interest to him? Yeah, material, this thing, it's all for us. He just activates it. Okay, you all do. And but he's watching. Yeah, I mean, he is aware of everything because he only can control this very complex thing. Only he, as the Paramatma, is aware of every jiva's requirements and what he's doing. Just like only a mother can take care of the child, she cannot entrust it. She may engage some servants or she may take the help of other relatives and all that. But ultimately, she only knows what is best for the child. So all the jivas are connected with Krishna in this intimate way. And so only he is ultimately responsible for everyone. And he just uses other people's services in order to establish this elaborate material world just for us to realize him once again, to be ready to go back to him for our rectification. We are the rebellious souls who came here thinking we can make it on our own. Why only always dependent on Krishna? I also want to enjoy like him, be independent like him, be the Purusha. All these, thoughts. That's why we became contaminated and came here. And over so many lifetimes, we become more and more and more rebellious, right? We want what we want. We will not listen. So the minute we get such thoughts, we should think, oh my God, there I go again. This is my um, vestiges from so many lifetimes of rebellion. And so that's why we should want to purify our consciousness by not wanting to dominate, but wanting to serve. There's a lot of, so that is why behind this service, we should always try to also try to see the philosophy behind this. Why I must serve. That is very important. Otherwise, it's very difficult. I mean, that's also this we have to be actively doing. Ultimately, it's Krishna's mercy which pulls us out. But even to desire properly, correctly, we should know how this world is working, who's the supreme person, and what's my relationship with him, and why I'm so rebellious. We became rebellious, and because of that, we are identifying with the body so much, and there's deep suffering because of that. And one of the most important suffering is death, our own death, and also the death of others close to us. It's horrible how much pain and suffering there is. And so that is why we need to know how this material energy is working. And then we can rectify ourselves. Then we can have faith in God. Yes, I can never be God. I can't be like him. He is super, super unlimited. I cannot be like that. So why do I desire to be God? That is my unreasonable demand. Somehow I'm thinking I'll press my nose, I'll stand upside down, I'll do yoga, tapasya, and one day I'll become God. And that's what the impersonalists are hoping that, through liberation, then I go and, I'll go and merge in Brahman and I'll become God. And somewhere somewhere, where was that? I read the impersonalists are preaching. Why do you want to be a small, no, why do you want to retain your ego? Because here you're just a small living entity. Whereas by merging, you become ocean. Instead of being one drop over here, you become the ocean. So give up material life. So they want more false ego. You go merge in the ocean, then you think I am the ocean. That is greater false ego. That is even more material desire actually. But it's not I mean, it's on the spiritual, but still it is not surrendered to Krishna. So how much we have a desire to lord it, that we want to become God, we want to be independent, we want to control, we want to dominate. So we have to recognize, I want to cut out all these things and develop my spiritual nature, which is to serve Krishna. That is, we have to cry for him, because in Kali Yuga, there is no opportunity. I mean, at least those days, people could take some tapasyas, austerities, do something, they meditate, all these things. Where we don't even have time to do all this, or inclination, or concentration. We don't even have faith in all that. So the only thing is, we have to beg for the mercy of the Lord. I'm doing whatever you told me, Krishna. I'm chanting. I'm doing all this 4 legs, whatever seva. But that is all not enough. What I'm doing is so polluted, so contaminated, and full of offenses. Then the only thing left is cry. Go on our knees and cry to the Lord, please, please, please. This is the only thing which can save us. So that is why in Kali Yuga, which is the worst of the ages, which really brings us to the lowest possible, capacity or capabilities, at that time, we can really, the only hope is, at least now we go on our knees and beg the Lord forgiveness. Why I'm trying to be like you? Why am I competing with you? I'm a rascal for doing that. Really, I can never be God. It's just it's just an impossible dream. How I even thought of competing with you, I'm really wondering. How can a tiny part, and being a tiny part is giving me so much happiness? It's not that, see, from a material perspective, you might think, what is this? I have to become a tiny part. I don't like it. I'll rather go and merge in the Brahmajyoti and think I'm Brahman. But that's also illusion only. You don't actually merge there. You still retain your individuality. You can never merge there. Then after some time, you get so bored. Say nothing, no variety, no relationships. Better to come to the material world. And we come there and do all charitable works, all mode of goodness activities. Until we are ready to accept the fact that it is blissful to have the service attitude to Krishna, to acknowledge his greatness, to glorify him, and our complete dependence on him. That is what completely satisfies the soul. Because if the Brahman is connected to the Para Brahman, that's it. He is also great. Is part of such a great person. What the Mayavadis want is, they want to merge in that Parabrahman and think they only are Parabrahman. No, we can never be Parabrahman. But we are part and parcel of that Parabrahman, and that satisfies the living entity completely. Nothing else can satisfy us. When we know That is that he is always great, and I am always a servant, and my greatness is in serving him. Then I am also great. But of course, the devotee never thinks he's great, but he feels completely peaceful and satisfied. But he is great because he's attached to the supreme great. And not only the jivas, even the other Vishnu tattvas, they all want to be subservient to Krishna. So you see, in the spiritual realm, it comes very naturally to be subordinate. They feel want to serve, and Krishna himself wants to serve his devotees. I mean, it's not that he's just like in the material world, we can never imagine any great person wanting to actually serve. Maybe just to show off. See, I'll also come one day in a very regal way. He might come and say, okay, I'll do like this, just and people will glorify him. See, he's so great, but he's even doing these. Not like that. Krishna actually wants to serve his devotees, to be with them, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came as his own devotee, and he lived among the devotees and ordinary people. He was living like an ordinary Brahmana, poor Brahmana boy, you know. And then after that, a sannyasi. He really lived the life of a sannyasi. So why did he do all those things? Out of intense love for us, somehow to attract us. He took sannyas only for that sake, because he said, if, if people will not take me seriously if I'm a grahastha, a young boy, and just telling people they will have their doubts, and each one will say something. It happened also. His own students couldn't understand him and they turned against him. And then the Lord said, I came to deliver all these people, how I can make them fall down. So he thought, let me take sannyas, complete renunciation. Then nobody will be envious of me. No. Otherwise, they'll all be envious. You're a grahastha, you are enjoying, and then you're talking all this. I won't listen from you. All these sort of things. But once a sannyasi means, he's renounced everything. Nobody envies a sannyasi because he doesn't have any material sense gratification. So for our sake, he did all that. So much love. It's out of genuine love that for you, I'll do anything. That is the love he has. So we also, and our original nature is also like that for Krishna. Krishna, I'll do anything for you. That is the kind of exchange which will satisfy the soul. And why everybody says, I'm Das, Anudas, Anudas. Then in the material world, we'll think, oh, how to be Das, Anudas, Anudas of, okay, of Krishna I can be. But what about other servants? I don't want to be Das, Anudas and all that. Okay, Krishna, because he's so great. But other people are also like jivas like me. And why I should feel I'm a servant of them? See, this is another different layers after layers of false ego. Finally, it comes to surrendering to Krishna. That is the first step. Then we should give up envy or competition, even among all the other jivas. That is when our purification is complete. That is why Krishna says, one who says he's my devotee is not actually my devotee. One who's the devotee of my devotee is actually my devotee. Because that is when our false ego is completely gone. We see even the bhakta as a representative of Krishna, and we're ready to serve only the devotee all my life also. It's okay. I mean, you get greater relish because that's how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Srivas's brother Ramai. Ramai was, serving Srivas Pandit. Srivas Pandit was directly serving Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he told Ramai, you're also very dear to me. You serve your brother. I mean, you help him in all the services, and that is like serving me. You will get the entire, I mean, you're as dear to me as Srivas. So this is how Krishna manages. There'll be somebody's directly, how many people, everyone can't do the same service. So there will always be somebody, okay, who's directly with him doing some services, and there are others assisting him. Without that assistance, how he can do? But it doesn't mean that the one who's standing next to Krishna is the dearest to him. It's not like that. Everybody is very dear because Krishna expands himself and is available to everyone. Everyone feels very satisfied with their personal exchanges with the Supreme Lord. There is no comparison in that because any way you want, Krishna is ready to be with you. Whatever you want, he reciprocates. So why I should bother what other people are having? I'm having the way I want. Krishna, I mean, I want meaning the relationship I want, the way I want to serve, the emotions that I want to have for him, the form that I like to see him in. Krishna is ready to expand in any form for us, make us, give us any form we like to serve him and have loving exchanges. You don't even need to tell Krishna anything. He understands our heart. Even before we just start thinking or we just desire something, Krishna immediately catches that. Now, why I should worry about what others are doing? I'm having everything. So that is why this is the perfect explanation. And by understanding this and how everybody is, every soul who is, I mean, in the spiritual world, nobody wants to dominate. Everybody wants only to serve. So, what is the harm in being the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant? That servant is also serving another servant, and this, I mean, nobody has a dominating attitude. So there is no need to feel envy towards anybody. And one will be very, very happy to serve even so many, I mean, just servant of the servant, very far removed. That also will give the greatest ecstasy because that person is selflessly serving Krishna. So this is the spiritual thing. And if we understand this, then we can overcome our rebelliousness, our demonic thoughts in the mind. Where is Mr. Demon? He's come or he's left. I saw his name, but he's left, I think. Okay. So I suppose he has to go to work. So that is what is disturbing us, demoniac thoughts, which want to dominate, which want to control, which feels envious, and also all these other, immediately all the other 6 types of negative emotions. Horrible. And when we start chanting Hare Krishna, we start feeling the joy of being a servant. So quickly we should try to come out of this by using our intelligence, the knowledge that we are getting. And we must think, oh, how nice it is to be a servant. Servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna is just as great as direct servant of Krishna and much better than trying to lord it. Here, even a demigod, even Brahma, no, Brahmaji is also not, he is also subject to birth and death. He also has, he's also not fully satisfied. He's also meditating so that he can completely give up all such desires, a pride of being a creator and all that. He's also trying to purify himself. So why I should be, I don't want to be materially great. I want to, this is the best situation by which we will get all, we can do anything we want by being a servant of Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay, thank you very much. Any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna Mataji Dandat.
Then with Pranam Binay.
Mataji, any guarantee